Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle. Thank you, as always, for spending time with us. The crisis that they created. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Another day, another predictable stretch of Democrat fear-mongering. Now, in the absence of a positive agenda of their own, they're trying to scare Americans and legal immigrants into thinking that if they get, stopped for speeding or maybe have too many unpaid parking tickets, you could risk ending up in a Salvadoran Supermax prison.
It is a government-funded kidnapping, plain and simple. Gilmar, a father of 3, lived in Maryland for over half his adult life. He had legal permission to stay in the United States. No one is safe in Trump's America.
No one is safe. And the Academy Award goes to Congresswoman Dexter. Now, first off, Albrego Garcia was an illegal alien who 2 courts had determined was a gangbanger. His case had been reviewed by 2 judges who rejected his arguments. Now, he and everyone else who was here illegally should have never been allowed in and should have been deported years ago. And as for the line that no one is safe in Trump's America, well, that's partially true, but not the way the Congresswoman intends it. If people are unsafe, it's not because of President Trump. It's because of the open border nightmare that the D.C. Uniparty inflicted on our beautiful country. Now, we shouldn't even have to be talking about how we're going to deport Biden's 11 million illegals. We shouldn't have to be talking about how ICE can track down the thousands of illegal felons here and then remove them from our communities. Or how to find the 300,000 missing children who cross the border. Or how to get nonviolent illegals to self-deport using that app. And we shouldn't have to explain to parents why their kids' schools are overcrowded. We shouldn't have to tell small business owners that, look, you might have to face organized theft rings of illegals. Look at the smiles on those TDA members. Our city shouldn't be reeling with serious illegal alien criminals hiding in plain sight. Just a few days ago, we learned that of the 206 illegals arrested between April 6th and April 12th in New York, ICE says more than half had significant criminal convictions or are currently facing charges for crimes like murder, assault, arson, rape, drugs, and illegal firearms. That's all. One is a foreign fugitive wanted for crimes in his home country, and one has a homicide conviction in the Philippines. This is the nightmarish world that not just Biden, but the entire globalist old guard created. One where, during Biden's term in office, GOP members of Congress would express impassioned outrage over the border crush, but they wouldn't do anything else. Spending bills kept getting greenlit. All the while, the migrant numbers kept skyrocketing. And, of course, zero empathy from Democrats for the Americans who never voted for this, but were forced to deal with this crisis.
You so strong about protecting those aliens, but you won't do nothing for the U.S. citizens. We are the ones who pay your salaries. Let's start with cutting off illegals, getting free everything. That'll save us a lot of money, what, $600 million?
And now, for purely political reasons, Democrats are caterwauling about the plight of Mr. Albrego Garcia. We need a new word for phony when it comes to the MS-13 defenders.
I would say they were illegally abducted by U.S. government agents and then taken to foreign prisons against the law. And the reason why it's important to treat each of these cases individually under the law is because our Constitution requires due process before people can be deprived of their liberty.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice, Chris. But what process would really suffice for Senator Van Hollen? The answer is no process is enough for them. Because if it were up to Chris Van Hollen, all the illegals would not only have a right to stay here, but they'd have a right to vote, run for office, and collect every benefit under the sun. The sad truth is Van Hollen and the quartet of other Democrat copycats who mimicked his El Salvador trip today care not one whit about constitutional norms or the rule of law, for if they did, they would not have sat by and allowed our country to be flooded with illegals in the first place. Congressman Jason Smith recently traveled to El Salvador and had the chance to speak with a few of the deported MS-13 illegals whose deportation left-wing legal groups object to.
While we were there, there was 2 different MS-13 gang members that we spoke to within their cells. One was originally deported from Highland Park, California, who told us that he had killed 6 people while in the United States. And then there was another one deported from Northern Virginia. These are terrorists according to Donald Trump's designation, and they're in the right place right now in El Salvador.
How this plays out legally, it's anyone's guess. While politically Trump's on solid ground, things may get stickier, as we've already seen, in court because the DOJ's own lawyer originally conceded that Abrego Garcia had been sent to this supermax prison erroneously. Well, of course, that triggered the judges who already loathed Trump and some constitutionalists on the conservative side as well. And over the weekend, another setback for Trump at the Supreme Court when a 7-2 majority ruled in the wee hours of the morning that further deportations of Tren de Aragua gang members should be temporarily halted. Justices Thomas and Alito, as usual, were correct in dissent, with Alito writing, "In the middle of the night, the court issued unprecedented and legally questionable relief without giving the lower courts a chance to rule, without hearing from the opposing party, within 8 hours of receiving the application with dubious factual support for its order. Both the executive and the judiciary have an obligation to follow the law." And late today, President Trump on Truth Social expressed his frustration, noting that, "I'm doing what I was elected to do, remove criminals from our country, but the courts don't seem to want me to do that. We cannot give everyone a trial because to do so would take, without exaggeration, 200 years. We'd need hundreds of thousands of trials for the hundreds of thousands of illegals we're sending out of the country. Such a thing is not possible to do. What a ridiculous situation we're in." Oh, he's right about that. The crisis that they created, not Trump. The bottom line, Democrats are open borders radicals. But now they think they've turned the table on Trump on the question of lawlessness. And they're itching for Trump and his team to be found in contempt because it would then help their narrative that he thinks he's above the law. And if Democrats win the House in 2026, they will cite this case as grounds for his impeachment. But Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, John Sauer, the Solicitor General, they're both very talented lawyers. So this one migrant's case, poorly handled by a lower-level staffer, I think they know it shouldn't end up being a defining moment for Trump's immigration priorities. They, the Democrats, created this crisis. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.